What is going on, everyone? We're here. We're live for a little bit of Monday evening quarterback. And listen, I know it might not have Robert Barnes. We might not have Jeremy. It's just going to be me tonight, but that's okay. We're going to hold it down. We weren't going to let this week go by without talking about some of the things that went down because it was kind of a crazy week in the NFL, to be quite honest with you. Had a couple decent college football games that we'll get into as well, but primarily we're going to hit NFL because that's what I want to talk about tonight for sure. Let's see who's here with us today. And I know Jeremy and all those guys, they've got, what is it? The new Monday Night Show with Tommy and Dan Vask. They're showing off all their awesome retro game stuff. Bragging rights, all their retro action figures, games, all that stuff. So thank you guys for being here because I know that's going on right now too. Like Karen James is here. Keely Chow's in the house. Eric K's here. My Nerdy Home is here. Jersey Dolphins. Kaylee. Naymans. Yeah. Thank you for being here, everyone. Keely Chow says, what's up? Go Bulls, go Cubs. What about the Bears? Not the Bears, huh? Not the Bears. That's okay. But we have a couple things to talk about in terms of the NFL games yesterday. We had some upsets. We had some coaches who may really be on the hot seat in Minnesota, for instance. You have Matt Nagy, who didn't even coach this game, who's still on the hot seat because the Bears offense looked way better when he was not there to have anything involved with it. And you, of course, have Tom Brady losing to the Saints, who didn't have Jameis Winston. But the first thing we're going to talk about is definitely one of the big injuries that we didn't even really know was a big deal. Well, clearly, it is a massive, massive deal. Let's pull this up really quick. I made a video when this news broke, but Derrick Henry, all of a sudden, it got reported from Adam Schefter today that Derrick Henry, probably the best running back in the league, and has been the best running back in the league for the past 3 years, is now facing season-ending surgery. And he is set to undergo foot surgery, likely gone for the entire season. And that is a big blow to the Tennessee Titans. You know, the Tennessee Titans, who an AFC championship favorite potentially, you know, even preseason and now what they've done being 6-2 up to this point, a lot of people have them as one of the best teams of the AFC. Without Derrick Henry, all those things change. And they immediately went out to try to do something to shore up the running back position. I don't know if this is going to be the fix, but maybe it will help. Adrian Peterson signs with the Titans. Veteran joining Tennessee with Derrick Henry, set to undergo foot surgery. The former NFL MVP is headed to Nashville. Now, I'm really surprised that Adrian Peterson has been around this long and played for as many teams as he has. I never thought he was going to be a guy that kind of wanted to do that. When we saw what he was doing in Minnesota, and me, as a Bears fan, unfortunately, I had to watch Adrian Peterson run all over the Bears far too often. And when he was on, man, he was incredible. And of course, he had that season where he was suspended over some bullshit, or what I think is a little bit bullshit. I don't think he should have been gone a whole year. But since then, we've seen him play for Washington. We've seen him play for Detroit. We've seen him really bounce around a lot. And he started the season at home. And now, with a big injury to Derrick Henry, they're bringing in Adrian Peterson. And it's an interesting move. I think that there's a lot of wear on those tires, but he does have fresh legs for right now. Adrian Peterson is an absolute monster of a dude, keeps in great shape all the time, but is he in football shape? I guess we're going to see soon enough. I'm sure it's not just going to be hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson for 30 times a game. You know, they do have other people on that team. They'll probably spread the ball around a little bit, but for right now, the Titans are trying to make a move by bringing in Adrian Peterson, who I think everyone knows, obviously 36 years old, way past his prime, but could be valuable to them. And what I said when I made the video earlier today was I talked about how Adrian Peterson, or Derrick Henry, is so important to the Tennessee Titans. I think he is more important. Him and Christian McCaffrey are the two most important running backs to their teams. There's a lot of teams like Zeke, right? As Zeke Elliott goes down, I don't think the Cowboys are really affected in some great way. You've seen what the San Francisco 49ers have been doing. Literally, they've had like 5 running backs go down. Baltimore Ravens, they've had like 5 running backs go down. They just keep cycling people through because it's just part of what they do. For the Titans, Derrick Henry makes that offense go. And what I mean by that is they will continue to hand the ball off, even with 8 men in the box, to establish that run game. And it opens up the passing game for Ryan Tannehill, who looked like a very pedestrian quarterback until he went to Tennessee and kind of resurrected his career with that incredible run game and that incredible play action game that they have. That allows Ryan Tannehill to throw to much more open targets than you would normally have. So with Derrick Henry out, that is a big blow to the Tennessee Titans. They're trying to patch it up. I don't know if that's the total answer, but it could definitely help with what they're trying to do. Still, I do wonder, this Tennessee Titans team, 6-2. Luckily, they're not really facing any other stiff competition from the AFC South. The Colts have lost some close games. They're 3-5. And of course, the Jags and the Texans are absolute dog shit. Complete dog shit. So maybe they still will win the AFC South, but I just can't put them as a contender anymore until I see them play without Derrick Henry for a little bit. Because he's been an incredible part of what they have been doing. Boomer Sooner says Browns need to trade Jarvis Landry, pick up Deshaun Watson. Oof. Maybe. That's a possibility, I suppose. I wanted to go because somebody just asked the question about Calvin Ridley. I wanted to go to that really quick because I thought this was a really weird story. Lard 1996 with a $20 super chat. Lar, you're the man. Thank you. I went to pick up this, but this is an empty bottle of Mountain Dew. Coming in from Bragging Rights. Hell yeah, Don. I hope those guys had an awesome fucking show. I know they were really looking forward to this. And it looked like they had a really good time. So, I also want to see Tommy there too. And thank you, Lar, for the $20 super chat. I really appreciate it. Somebody brought up, I wasn't really planning on talking about this necessarily, but someone in the chat brought up the Calvin Ridley situation, and it is a strange one. And you can see the headline, Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley to step away from football at this time to focus on his mental health. Now, I think anyone playing for the Falcons may struggle with mental health from time to time because right now with Matt Ryan at quarterback, they seem to make mistake after mistake in really bad times. But in all seriousness, evidently Calvin Ridley's been dealing with something for quite some time. This was the second of 3 games where he had sat out due to some sort of personal reason. And during the game, I believe, this got announced. Calvin Ridley put this out on Twitter. It was during the game. It was 2.5 hours into the game. These past few weeks have been very challenging, and as much as I'd like to be on the field competing with my teammates, I need to step away from football at this time to focus on my mental well-being. This will help me be the best version of myself now and in the future. I want to thank my teammates, the entire Falcons organization, our great fans, my friends, and my family for all their support during this time. Like, that is kind of crazy when a wide receiver one like Calvin Ridley, who they invested some pretty good draft capital in a few years ago, all of a sudden just walks away from the game for mental reasons. Now, I know people go through shit. People go through shit all the time. And when you're playing a game like football, if your head isn't in the game, it can be dangerous. And I get that. But still, I'm sure all his teammates are standing with him and support him. But at the same time, you got to be like, man, what is going on with him that he feels the need to step away like this? Is it something with family? Is it something with his like legitimate mental health like that? Like, is there something wrong with him, whether it's depression, anxiety, like whatever? Either way, it's a big blow to the Falcons, who, you could have thought this offense could do something with Kyle Pitts, probably the most athletic tight end in football now as a rookie, and then Calvin Ridley as your wide receiver one, even though you lost Julio Jones. Now you remove Calvin Ridley from the equation, people are just going to double, maybe even triple team Kyle Pitts at some time on the field. And we'll see what that offense can continue to do, but definitely a big blow to the Atlanta Falcons organization. And whatever's wrong with him, I hope that he gets the help that he needs for whatever is going on in his life. Fucking Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, It's cost me so many fantasy games over the years. So many fantasy games over the years. Oh, man. Where are we? He quit on his team. We got to be consistent like how we criticize Simone Biles. Well, there's a big difference. Calvin Ridley didn't go out and do a press conference and talk about what a hero he is for facing his mental health and all this shit. He put out a statement saying, I need to step away. If Simone Biles had done that, I don't think it would be a problem. The problem was Simone Biles continued to go up to the podium, talk to the press, put herself out there, make it all about her. Everybody made it all about her, and she gloated in it. She lied about what was going on with her. She changed her story several times. So at this point, now if Calvin Ridley comes out tomorrow and does a press conference and plays victim and all this stuff, then yeah, I'll criticize the fuck out of Calvin Ridley. But at this point, I just don't have enough information about it. That's how I feel. No, I didn't draft Matt Ryan. I mean, over the years, like over 7 years of playing fantasy football, Matt Ryan's mistakes have cost me, whether I've had him as my quarterback or I've had Julio or Devontae Freeman or whoever as my fantasy players. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Do I think Deshaun Watson will be traded tomorrow? I kind of get the feeling no. It sounds like Houston's ready to hold on to him now after they were really ready to trade him. You know? But that's just me. Matt Stafford's a great fantasy quarterback. Always has been. And now he's on an insane offense. And I'm loving it. As somebody who rooted against Stafford when I played against him, because Chicago Bears played Detroit Lions, I'm happy to see Matt Stafford have success somewhere else. I really am. It feels good. It feels good. But we got something else to talk about, though. We got to talk about what happened in this game. And we got asked on the Sunday Sports Wars stream about 30 minutes before this game got going what we felt about Tampa Bay and the New Orleans Saints. And Jeremy, to his credit, said, hey, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Saints are going to be competitive. I said, listen, I don't really think it's going to be that competitive. I know that Tampa Bay has a lot of injuries on defense, but at the same time, I think they'll probably win by 10. Wow, was I wrong. And I didn't even think that they were going to have to play with their backup quarterback, which is what the Saints had to do because Jameis Winston got injured. And Jameis Winston not only got injured, take a look at this play. He has a torn ACL. He's out for the year. Jameis Winston is gone. Watch this play right here. I'm going to turn the sound off. Hey, when you scramble, when you run around, when you try to make plays, this is something that can happen. We've seen this with mobile quarterbacks for years. And here it is. Horse collar tackle. This is why you're not supposed to do that. Whoop. There you go. And we'll see it one more time. Ooh, there we go. And that was Jameis Winston's knees. His knee, I should say. And Jameis Winston out for the year after that. But with that being said, when that happened, did anyone think that this is going to be the final score of this game? I don't think so. Did anyone think that Tom Brady in crunch time would throw an interception? I don't think so. To his credit, Tom Brady is going to take responsibility for it. Tom Brady said, listen, that loss is on me. That is on me. So, Tom Brady's always going to take responsibility when those types of things happen like he should. But I was surprised by this. I really was. And evidently, Tom Brady and the Bucs do not like going to New Orleans. Whether the quarterback's Tom Brady, whether the quarterback's Drew Brees, whether it's Jameis Winston, or whether it's Trevor fucking Siemian. Who thought that Trevor Siemian at quarterback? Trevor Siemian. Who thought that Trevor would beat Tom Brady? Man. And, Brady, listen, he did throw 2 picks, but he also threw another 4 touchdowns. It's not like he had a terrible game, but in crunch time, when you expect Brady to be on, he made a mistake. And that is, again, a testament to the greatness of Tom Brady that we just expect him to win every single time when he gets in this situation. If there's a loss, it's a failure for Tom Brady. We hold him to that standard because that's the standard he has established for himself. But I have said throughout the year that I think they have defensive problems. And the fact that a Jameis Winston-less New Orleans Saints, who have struggled to score even with him, but with Trevor Siemian at quarterback, they put up 36 on this Bucs defense. You got to be a little bit worried. You got to be worried. Now, to be fair, the run defense is great. Their pass defense is very, very suspect. So a big surprise for me how this game ended up turning out. And Tom Brady had a little mistake in crunch time, but they are at 6-2. New Orleans 5-2. They have not played great, yet they're 5-2. They have to feel pretty good about that. The question will be, who starts at quarterback? Is it Trevor Siemian, or do you game plan? Do you game plan for where is it? Because Sean Payton actually talked about this right here. Sean Payton declined to elaborate on whether Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian would become the Saints starter. So do you game plan with Taysom Hill, or do you stick with Trevor Siemian after the performance he put on? That's for Sean Payton to decide, but I do know this is not something I expected to see with the Saints beating the Bucs. Eric K for $5. Okay. I did not think you were dumb to draft Matt Ryan. No, I got Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is my fantasy quarterback. Had his first bad game this week, actually. Brady's not as clutch as advertised. No, he definitely is. He's the greatest crunch time player that we've ever seen. And when he doesn't do something, it's a surprise. When he doesn't win a Super Bowl, it's a surprise to everyone, effectively, which is nuts. Absolutely insane. That was an interesting Bucs game, says Lulu. I agree. I agree. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, yeah. That is a great point as well. Someone just brought this up. Someone just brought this up. So the Broncos have made a trade a little bit before the deadline that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. Now, the Broncos have been in the conversation potentially for Deshaun Watson. So when I saw a blockbuster trade involving the Denver Broncos, I immediately looked and I was wondering what was going on. I didn't think that they'd be trading away Von Miller, and especially the circumstances surrounding this trade are kind of crazy. Broncos trade linebacker Von Miller to the Rams. And, of course, there's a couple different things to think about. What did the Broncos get for this? And what are the Rams going to look like with Von Miller and Aaron Donald both rushing the passer? That is a scary thought. However, I should be quick to point out that Von Miller's been injured. He's had the injury bug the past few years. He has not been the player that he was 5 years ago. You know, you guys made 8 Pro Bowls. You know, he's an incredible player when he is healthy. But he's been around for a while, starting to get injured. But if he can stay on the field, think of the possibilities for that Rams front seven. That is going to be incredibly scary. But what did they give up to get him? Well, they gave up a second and a third round pick next year. But interestingly enough, the Broncos are paying effectively all of Von Miller's salary, which I really thought was strange. The Broncos basically paid the Rams to take Von Miller from them. One of the weirdest trades in a long time. To make matters even more wild, the Broncos are paying $9 million of the remaining $9.5 million on Miller's deal, ostensibly making the trade free from Los Angeles' perspective. Now, of course, a second and a third round pick are nothing to sneeze at, right? It's nothing to sneeze at for sure, or to sneer at. Sneeze. It's nothing to sneer at, but it's still, it's Von Miller. Hopefully he's healthy for them. I like the Rams this year. I'm rooting for the Rams this year, and of course the Bucs as well, because I do love Tom Brady. But I would love to see Matthew Stafford compete, and this on the other side of the ball is going to do wonders for the Rams. For a Rams defense that can already hurt teams when they're on. So now you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Aaron Donald, and you got Von Miller. That's quite a defense that you're putting on the field. So I don't know how I feel about it. I've watched a lot of Von Miller over the years because I watched a lot of Broncos games over the years. However, I think that most people are probably overestimating the impact that it will have. I think it could have an impact, but this is not 5 years ago Von Miller. So we'll see. Yeah, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is a fucking badass. Von Miller's washed up. He's hurt a lot. That's his problem. He's hurt a lot, I think. I don't think he's washed, but if you can't stay on the field, then you have a problem. Rob Liefeld for $5. When is the NFL going to adopt the XFL's officiating standards and practices? That Tennessee-Indiana game was atrocious. A lot of people. So I watched that game on Red Zone, so I was flipping back and forth through a lot of other shit at the time. But there were a lot of complaints about officiating. And in general, I think that I said this week one, specifically because I had 2 touchdowns in fantasy that were not touchdowns, even though they technically were, because of bad officiating, even on replays. And they have to do something, because when officiating decides it like this, when officiating has such an impact on games, that's not good. And if you have replay, it needs to be accurate. And sometimes it's just a joke. It really is. That's what makes people, the conspiracy theories go around about the NFL being rigged and all those things when things like that happen. Another surprise we had yesterday. This is embarrassing, honestly. This is absolutely embarrassing. We got asked this question on the Sunday stream as well. Hey, what do you think the Cowboys' chances are against the Vikings? Of course, the Vikings were at home, and the Cowboys were away. And the Cowboys, like I said, I don't think Dak Prescott's going to play. It sounds like he's questionable. It sounds like they don't think he's going to play. And in fact, he didn't play. Cooper Rush played quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And the Minnesota Vikings lost. How many times, how many times have we seen Kirk Cousins come up small in big primetime games? Now, I like Kirk Cousins for what he is. I think he's paid a little bit too much, but I think he's probably, the 13th or 14th, 12th best quarterback in the NFL. Just something like that. Just a little bit better than average in terms of starting quarterbacks. But God, man, primetime games for Kirk Cousins, it always seems to happen. And now you got the Minnesota Vikings. You have to be thinking about this. This is an embarrassing loss. He's already kind of been on the hot seat because they've had some tough losses this year. They're 3-4 now. And with that offense they have, with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, there is no way you should put up this type of performance when you're facing the backup quarterback for Dallas, who threw for over 300 yards. It's not like Zeke had a good game. Zeke had 50 yards rushing. So they bottled him up. But look at these receivers that went off. Amari and CeeDee Lamb both went off. Cedric Wilson had a long touchdown, I believe. Yeah, 73-yard touchdown at one point. And the fact that Justin Jefferson only gets targeted 4 times in this, the Minnesota Vikings should feel bad. They should feel bad about this. And it might result in their coach getting fired. But once again, Kirk Cousins just shows when the lights are the brightest, he plays the worst. Consistently, that has been Kirk Cousins. Great at times, very effective at times. But in big games, he's usually just not the man. And also the Dallas Cowboys just showed that this Dak Prescott guy that you paid so much money for, man, Cooper Rush just came in and did a great job for you, didn't he? Managed this game pretty well and snuck a win at the Minnesota Vikings. Cowboys are 6-1 now. 6-1. You got some pretty good teams now in the NFC. If we look at NFL standings, Let's look at the conference standings right now. You got the Packers, the Cardinals, and the Rams, and the Cowboys, all one-loss teams, followed by Tampa Bay, which I think you're going to say Tampa Bay, people might put them at the best team, even with the struggles they've had. But, the Cardinals lost to the Packers in a very close game where A.J. Green seemingly had no reason to not turn around, but yet he didn't turn around in the end zone, and there was an interception. And it's going to be tough in the NFC, man. Whereas the AFC, fuck. The AFC is... Ugh. The AFC is not... we'll say it's not balanced, maybe? Maybe not top-heavy. You got the Tennessee Titans, a Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans right now is the number one team in the AFC. You got the Raiders, you got the Ravens, you got the Bills, who were not looking great through 3/4 of the game and then, pulled away at the end. The Bengals lost a tough game last week, but the Kansas City Chiefs, who was probably most people's favorite, all the way down at 3-4. They will be playing on Monday Night Football. Will Patrick Mahomes have a bounce-back game? 9 interceptions already over these first several games, a turnover machine so far. Will the Chiefs finally kick it into gear and take this shit serious? I guess we'll see. I mean, they have no excuse to not blow the Giants out of the water. No excuse. Not a Cowboys fan, but a lot of respect to Diggs. Oh my God, Diggs he's like 7 interceptions or something this year. Let's look up season leaders and stats really quick. I can do that. Defensive leaders. Sacks. Yeah, Trayvon Diggs, 7 interceptions. I was right. That's a lot of picks, man. That's a lot of picks. Echo Base Network for $10. Did you see Stephen A talking about Cam and the Vax this morning? ESPN and Stephen A is trash. Good job on the channel here, Ryan. Keep up the good work. Also, if you found any Buffalo Trace in Florida, I'll be honest, I haven't even looked for it. I have not had any time. I got a lot of alcohol I still need to drink, but I should look for some Buffalo Trace. You're right. You're right. The only spare time I had today, I went and I got a haircut. I got a fresh cut today. That's what I did with my time. So I got the beard trimmed up a little bit. Got a nice fresh cut. Looking good for the Arizona meetup. So I'm happy with that. But thank you, Echo Base Network. Alex announces it to the world. That's like coming out, Alex. That's like a coming out statement right there. I'm a Packers fan. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Fresh AF. It is fresh AF. For those of you that don't know, we are going to be in Arizona. Myself, Jeremy, and Gary from Nerd Roddick. We're going to be in Arizona on Thursday. So it's only a couple days away. We're going to be at the Endgame Bar at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'm sure we'll be there for quite some time. What is that? Am I flying American Airlines? I'm flying Southwest. They already had their issues. Hopefully, we don't have any more. I'm flying Southwest, so let's go Brandon, if you know what I'm saying. Let's go Brandon, if you know what I mean. Matt, NFL talk. I don't give a turd about the NFL since they've gone woke, says White Knight. It was strange to, I guess, come into this stream. It's Monday evening quarterback. We're talking NFL. But, yeah, what we do here on this channel is we call out the woke shit when we see it, and we also cover sports topics when they're relevant. And that's what we have to do, because what we want to do is like what Barstool's doing now. Eventually, look at Barstool. Whoever thought that Barstool Sports would be embarrassing ESPN College Game Day? But they did. They had more people at the Barstool pregame than they did at College Game Day. And 10 years ago, no one thought that was possible. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that's possible. But, very much like Barstool, we want to, they don't really delve into the fucking woke stuff as much, calling that out, but they're definitely not politically correct. They're just normal people, right? And that's what we want to do here. And eventually, maybe we can grow this thing so that for sports talk, people come to us because we talk straight. We give them the facts. We call out the woke bullshit when we see it, but we also give our take on sports. That's what we're striving for on this channel. Where is that? There was another game I wanted to talk about too, but I accidentally went to go look at interceptions instead. You're going to be the main event at the Arizona Meetup, says Biggles. TYT? Wait, is that the Young Turks? The Young Turks sports? Jeez. The NFL can't even fill up stadiums this year. That's how woke works. Well, I kind of disagree with that. Attendance has been pretty good most everywhere I've seen it, except for the places that are traditionally shit. So if you can let me know if there's an article or something saying the opposite of that, I'd be interested to see it. We talked about Falcons a little bit. We talked about Bills. I don't even want to talk about the 49ers and the Bears. Fucking Matt Nagy's dumbass. Patriots and Chargers. That was an interesting game. Patriots and Chargers. I wanted to talk about that real briefly. Because it's like the Patriots, man, they blew the fucking doors off them last week, right? 52 points, I think they scored. But listen, I'm not surprised that the Chargers don't have much of a home field advantage because no one in Los Angeles cares about the Chargers. I can tell you that from personal experience. When I moved to San Diego, I listened to a lot of Chargers coverage, obviously. And I went up to their training camp. I saw the response, and they just don't have a lot of people that care about them. So that's why there were so many Patriots fans at the stadium on Sunday. Well, still, with that being said, I really thought that the Chargers, especially with Austin Eckler playing, I thought they were going to take care of business against the Patriots, but the Patriots got it done. Mac Jones got it done. And Mac Jones, he might not look the most impressive. It might not be flashy. They might be using some trick plays every game, and they sure are. But they get the job done against the Chargers. You know, Justin Herbert forces the ball a little bit too much this game, ends up with 2 picks, did throw 2 touchdowns as well. But that Chargers team that looked really fucking good these first 5 weeks, it slowed down the past couple. And, they're looking to catch the Raiders. The Raiders are the team to beat in the AFC West right now, which I don't know if anyone thought that was going to be a possibility at the beginning of the season or after all the John Gruden bullshit went down. But that's the way it is. And the Chargers, who I had high hopes for, now they're sitting at 4-3. But good win for the Patriots at 4-4, especially in an AFC. We just talked about the AFC, how there's not really like a dominant team in the AFC or a dominant couple teams, especially with Derrick Henry going down. And New England could definitely find a way to sneak into the playoffs. They really could. Respect the hoodie. The Nagy never coached yesterday's game. I know. I said that at the beginning. I said Matt Nagy's on the hot seat, and he's still on the hot seat because they looked better without Matt Nagy at quarterback. That's just the bottom line. They really did. And that's embarrassing. Like, the Bears just pissed me the fuck off, man. David Montgomery might be coming back soon. I hope David Montgomery comes back soon, but that's no guarantee. That's definitely no guarantee. I wanted to talk real quick about a couple college football things. Just about some of these big games that happen. I think the Georgia, we've said it for a while. Me and Jeremy have been talking about this. Robert's been talking about this. Georgia just looks to be on another level. You know, they really do. They just beat the shit out of Florida 34-7. This is a team that Alabama obviously really struggled with. Alabama came a missed 2-point conversion away from potentially, who knows what happens with that game. Maybe Alabama's sitting there with 2 losses. Now, that's not a direct correlation. It doesn't mean that Georgia's just that much better than Alabama, but it does show that, wow, Georgia really is seemingly at another level. And that SEC championship game between Georgia and Alabama is going to be it's going to be interesting what happens. Is Georgia going to be favored? Assuming Georgia wins out, is Georgia going to be favored by like 7 points over Alabama? That would be crazy. Let's take a quick look at Georgia's upcoming schedule because I think that's really it. Yeah, that's it. They got Mizzou, Tennessee. Yeah. They don't have anything. They've already gone through their tough part of the schedule. So it's smooth sailing for them. Of course, they can always lose, But as far as, are we really worried about them losing? Not really. Not more big challenges. Cincinnati beats the shit out of Tulane. I think Cincinnati will win out. They've got one more test against SMU. But if Cincinnati wins out, I don't know. Georgia smoked Alabama, dude. They haven't fucking played. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You guys were talking about this season, right? Oklahoma, man, listen, since Oklahoma made that change to Caleb Williams, they have looked like a different team. And last season. Well, yeah, but we're talking about this season right here. That Georgia could very well be favored by 7 points or 10 points in this. And I don't think that's what a lot of people thought at the beginning of this season. With Alabama's recruitment, with Alabama's talent level versus Georgia's talent level, which is very close. But Georgia looks to be on another level this year. Let's see. But yeah, Oklahoma looks really, really good against Texas Tech. It's not like that's a great matchup for them, but they've been struggling against teams they shouldn't have been all year. But now they switch to Caleb Williams, 6 fucking touchdowns, 400 passes. They are rolling right now. These were the 2 biggest games that I cared about, right? These ones. Ohio State, who looked pretty iffy early on, it looks like Ohio State's probably going to end up coming out of the Big Ten. 33-24. Now, of course, they're not done with their schedule, but this is a big win for them. And Penn State now 5-3. And a lot of people looking at James Franklin think, is he going to leave and take the USC job? Is he going to leave and take the LSU job? Maybe he's out of Penn State after this. Maybe he's not interested. Maybe his team feels like he's not interested. I don't know. I've always liked James Franklin. I've never been a massive fan, but I like the guy well enough. But that Penn State team certainly has had some tough losses over the past few weeks. And then Michigan and Michigan State. Dude, what does Harbaugh have to do to get fired there, honestly? He's like 3-10 or 3-9 in his career against Michigan State and Ohio State. That's who you have to beat. That is who you have to beat. And he's never done it. But half of my family is from the Ann Arbor area. So they bleed blue, right? They really do. And they don't even want him fired. Like, they hate what he's doing, but they don't want him fired because, we just love the Harbaugh so much. You got to demand more at some point. And we thought this was finally going to be the year for Harbaugh, but no. Loses to Michigan State. They give up 5 rushing touchdowns. Oof. Disappointing. And then Iowa continues to prove that they were probably overrated to begin with. Got the shit kicked out of them by Wisconsin. It's kind of embarrassing for them. But there's just a couple of the bigger college football stuff that I wanted to talk about. Alabama did not play this week. I believe they had a bye week. So, yeah, the SEC championship game is going to be fucking hype when it happens. Looking forward to that for sure. And, man, maybe the Big Ten, there's a chance if things play out the way they do, there's a good chance the Big Ten is not in the college football playoff. If things hold right now and you have, say, we end up with a close SEC championship game, you could still get Georgia and Alabama and Cincinnati and Oklahoma, which there will be so many fucking Big Ten fans, like myself, I'm a Big Ten guy, that will be triggered if that happens. If Oklahoma gets the bid, if Cincinnati gets the bid over a one-loss Ohio State team or something, whew, there will be blood in the water. Death comes for us all for $20. I will say Tom Brady is the greatest of our time. I can't say the greatest ever with the argument of how would the greats perform in the current system, or how would he perform when you can actually punish someone. When you could actually punish someone, you mean like physically? Yeah, that's true of all eras, right? You know, it's tough to compare like LeBron James to Michael Jordan, even though that's like 3 decades apart, 2 decades really for most of their careers. But it's tough to compare Tom Brady to Joe Montana. But I think when we look at, especially what he's continuing to do now, it's tough, man. It's really fucking tough. But I hear what you're saying. I think you do have to place certain eras and kind of put that in another side of your brain when you're talking about these things, because it's true. Like Terry Bradshaw is a Hall of Famer. Terry Bradshaw is a Hall of Fame quarterback. But every single quarterback that's playing right now is better than Terry Bradshaw, skill-wise. You know what I mean? Just because the training's different, the emphasis on things is different, the game is different, all of it's different. So I 100% get what you're saying about different eras and the comparisons. Yes. Somebody asked about Arizona. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing in Arizona. We got a Geeks and Gamers meetup. Myself, Jeremy is going to be there. Gary from Roddick is going to be there as well. A lot of you guys on this channel might not be super familiar with Gary, although he did do a Sports Wars video about the San Diego Chargers because he loves the San Diego Chargers. And when they left and went to LA, he fucking despised them for it. So that was a great fucking video. But it's going to be at the Endgame Bar in Mesa, Arizona, 4 p.m. Pacific on November 4th, which is Thursday. You would argue that I'm wrong there. Players now fucking suck dick and their technique is shit. That is why I won't watch. If you want to talk about maybe tackling technique, then I'll, sure, we can talk about that. When you're talking about on the offensive side of the ball, there's no fucking comparison. I think the reason that technique is shit right now is because they have so severely limited, and the players did this to themselves, limited practice time, specifically practice in pads and contact practices to prevent injuries. And I don't know if it's really been that effective in preventing injuries, but that's what they wanted to do, and that's what they got. But that has not affected quarterbacks or like skill position players in terms of what they're doing on the field, running their routes. They're still doing those things. They're still doing those 7-on-7s, things like that. So that's just, that's my take on it. People are faster and stronger now than they've ever been. And like Tom Brady and like what Tom Brady does with his technique, the fact that Tom Brady's release is so fucking fast, and that he's worked to improve that and perfect that, and now he has a quicker release at 44 years old, and he's faster at 44 years old than he was when he came into the league, is amazing. It's incredible the way that he's progressed, and that's because of the training and the dedication he's put to his craft. Let me get that super chat. Eric K for $2. Wilt Chamberlain is the GOAT. Fight me. Did everything. Wilt Chamberlain, well, to me, he's one of those guys who is just like such a physical standout for his era, right? Like if Wilt Chamberlain played today, I don't think you'll see the same stats, but he was doing stuff that nobody else could do or would do back then. You're right. He did everything. He passed as well. I mean, if that's your argument, it's tough. Players are just as fast and strong as they were in the 90s, says Brando. You can watch, I guess you can watch them if you want, but we have numbers, we have combine numbers. We have all these things that show that's not the case. You have people like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones routinely runs at speeds over 20 miles an hour. Daniel Jones. the quarterback for the New York Giants, you know, and just across the board, that's just the way it is. And that's the way it is in all athletic feats right now. You know, you look at guys that were running in the 90s compared to what the times they're running now, like 100-meter, 200-meter dash and shit like that. Most of them are much faster now than they were back then because training, because of dietary shit. All these things have an effect. Technology. So, but anyway, I think we're gonna call it quits there. This is a little bit shorter than normal. We don't have the conversation we normally would because I'm holding it down by myself tonight, but that's okay. We'll be back with your normal Monday evening quarterback. Maybe not next. Maybe not next week, but certainly it might just be me next week, but certainly soon we'll have it back on track. Whoopa Troopa for $5. Favre was always my favorite. Might not be the best, but nothing better than watching him throw 50-yard bullet passes with pinpoint precision. No one even comes close to his arm strength. Listen, as a Bears fan, I watched a lot of Brett Favre, and he drove me nuts at times. I respect the hell out of Brett Favre. I love him as a player. Pinpoint accuracy, I don't know if I'd say that. He definitely was a gunslinger. He definitely thought he could fit the ball into any spot. He also led, I think he's still the NFL record holder for interceptions. But you got to respect the hell out of Favre and what he was able to do. The Greg for $5. How chapped is your ass? The Bears took Justin Fields instead of Big Mac Daddy Jones. Go Pats. Make UCLA great again. Fire Chip Kelly. Thank you, the Greg. I'm actually not that upset. I don't think that. I actually think if Mac Jones was the Bears quarterback, they'd look worse, if that makes any sense. At least Justin Fields has some athleticism and can make some plays like that. I think the Patriots are being very careful and very cautious with what they're doing with Mac Jones. And I think he fits what they want to do. But no, I'm not super upset about it. I think that any quarterback with the Bears is going to struggle because the Bears are a shit franchise. That's what I think. But guys, that is going to be it for us. I do appreciate everyone hanging out with me and watching. And Monday Night Football is about to start. Maybe the Chiefs will fucking lose again and we can all laugh at them tomorrow. But thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week, same time. And of course, Sunday, normal Sunday Sports War stream as well. That will happen because I'll be back from Arizona in a timely fashion. But thank you, everyone. I will talk to you later. Peace.